What is good, YouTube? Man, how is everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a fantastic Sunday. I know, I'm sorry. I'm taking you guys away from this Sunday night football just for a little bit. Hey man, I'm snuggled up, man. I'm cold, man. So we out here with the Raiders jersey. Not the Raiders jersey, but the Raiders blanket on, man. And we gonna talk about some Raiders, man. That's how we do it, man. That's how we do it. You already know how we kick these things off, man. Shout out to everybody who's already in the building. We got DeMarcus, we got Derek, we got Marvin, MM in the building, GA, my dog. We got Fitzy, who else? EJ, Raiders for life, Latina, shout out to you. Go Rail, Andrew, Raiders for life. My brother wasted in here. Isaac was popping. Sean Johnson was good. That bass cap is crispy. Got to keep it that way, man. Got to keep it that way. Got to keep it that way. JD was good. Holla was good. Hold on. Glad the chokers choked, man. That was fucking hilarious. That was, I mean, come on, man. It is what it is. Salute to my dog Pride. Bam Bad. I don't care what they say. That hat is fire. Shout out to my guy Uncharted Sean. Bam. Shout out to every single one in here right now. We already got over like 60 people in here. So look, man, as you guys can tell, I want to talk about what I think the Raiders need to absolutely go ahead and do. And that's, you know what? Maybe not come out the gates firing on all cylinders on day one. But I think once you have a day to generally see what the market is in free agency, then day two, I think the Raiders need to really kick the tires on trying to build a true, high powered defense. A defense that can get you interceptions, timely interceptions, a defense that could get you sack fumbles, forced fumbles. We need a defense. And guess what? We've been asking for it for many years, whether it was for Derek Carr or whether it was just for the sake of the team. But this year, we no longer have Derek Carr. So regardless, we need a super stout defense because we may have a question mark at quarterback. We still don't know. Although we have belief that we may get a certain guy with 7 rings on the team. It's not certain. So I'd rather the Raiders go out and absolutely spend big on defense. I think that you need to go out and get game changers on the defensive side of the ball. And truthfully, I think that we need to go out and get veteran leadership that can teach the young guys what it is to be a pro and how they can become a true veteran leader once they're later down their careers in the NFL. So I think that one of the most expensive guys on the market may not be too attractive due to the price tag. So, as much as I would love a Tremaine Edmonds in the offseason in free agency, I don't think we'll be able to get a guy like that. Now, I know there's a guy by the name of Deion Jones, the linebacker spot, but I really want the Raiders to go out and get Levante David, man. Levante David, one of my favorite linebackers in the NFL. And I would love it if this man was on the Raiders. I don't care that he's over 30 years old because guess what? He is balling still. So I would love to get Levante David on this defense. I would love to get a guy like Leighton Vander Esch, maybe. He's a good role guy as well. Deion Jones, a little bit younger than Levante David, but guess what? The man can still ball. He can still ball. I know he was, I think he's with the Browns right now after getting released and signed or traded. I don't know if they traded for him actually. But nonetheless, Deion Jones will hit the open market. So that is very interesting. So I think linebackers is a major need on this team. And I think the Raiders really need to attack that heavily in this year's free agency class, as well as attack it heavily in the draft. But I really want to hit free agency very hard. Shout out to my guy Kenny in the building. We got King Joshua, Dominique, Andrew, Pride and Purpose. We got YouTube. He says, "What's good, everyone?" Shout out to my guy. But look, let me ask you this. I'm gonna read you guys off a few names at the linebacker spot. Okay, now you could choose to get a big price tag name, or you could choose to mix and match and get two guys. You could choose to get two, or you could get one major signing. So the three major signings, in my opinion, is going to be Tremaine Edmonds, Levante David, and Deion Jones. So you could choose out of those three, or you can mix and match out of Drew Tranquil, Jermaine Pratt, Nicholas Morrow, Denzel Perryman, Aziz Al-Shair, or Devin Bush. There's also Leighton Vander Esch on there, Jermaine Pratt. Yeah, so you can choose out of Drew Tranquil, Jermaine Pratt, LVE, Nicholas Morrow, Perryman, Aziz Al-Shair, or Devin Bush. So let me know what you guys think, man. Let me know what you guys think. Would you rather a big ticket like Tremaine or Levante or Deion Jones? Or would you rather go out and get two guys like Jermaine Pratt, Drew Tranquil? I think that would be a phenomenal combo if we could get both of those guys. Something that I did want to mention, right? Something that I did want to mention is this. Oh, Raiders for life. We're talking about him today. Let me talk about Tremaine Edmonds for a second. First things first, Tremaine Edmonds, there's no doubt in my mind that wherever he goes, whether he stays or if he goes and signs with a team in free agency, I think he'll be a good player, right? But here's my thing. Tremaine Edmonds is coming from a system that plays a too high shell and is that classic Tampa 2 defense that was played by the Chicago Bears way back in the day, right? And they're very dominant at that. They're a 4-3 Tampa 2 cover 2 shell team. So they always got two safeties over the top. They always got three linebackers, and he's that true Mike. Like he is that true Mike in the middle of the park. And they play that and they play it down to the fucking science, and they don't skip a beat over there in Buffalo. So let me say this. Like I said, I still think that without a doubt, wherever he goes, he'll be a good player. Or if he stays, he'll still be phenomenal. But Tremaine Edmonds, that is something that we should look at, right? Is the scheme that he's thriving in. Although I think he's such a skillful player to the point where he'll thrive in a big, regardless where he go, I think he'll thrive regardless. But Tremaine Edmonds, he is that traditional 4-3 linebacker, which is not something that we play too much. And we also don't usually play that two-shell safety look. So it's very interesting, right? It's kind of tough to look at it because when we are in that 3-4, we have two linebackers. We have two middle linebackers. And we very rarely went into a 4-3 base defense. I don't think I ever saw for a series Patrick Graham play a full series in a 4-3. Multiple times we played it in nickel where it was a 4-2-5 with 5 DBs, 2 linebackers, 4 guys rushing. But rarely did we see ourselves going to a 4-3, which is something that Tremaine Edmonds is playing at. Now, they have a good linebacking core there with Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds. Maybe they prioritize signing Edmonds over Jordan Poyer. Maybe they choose youth over experience there. But Tremaine Edmonds is extremely young. He's balling out of his mind. And he has like 5 years NFL experience, and he's only 24, 25 years old. So very interesting to look at that as well. But I do want to go ahead and talk about corners right before we get to the defensive line, because I know the defensive line is going to be one of the bigger talking points. So I do want to hit the cornerback situation, right? Somebody that I've been extremely adamant on the Raiders trying to get is Marcus Peters, right? That's somebody that I've really wanted the Raiders to get for multiple reasons. I'm from Oakland. I live in Oakland. He fucking Oakland legend, him and Marshawn, right? I'd love to see him play for his hometown team. But there's not a true number one corner in this year's free agency class. So it's kind of tough. Let me give you let me give you the list, right? So there's Sean Murphy Bunting, there's Jamel Dean, there's Byron Murphy, there's Greedy Williams, Rock Ya-Sin, James Bradbury, and Marcus Peters. Those are essentially my top 6 or 7 guys in this free agency period. Okay. Now Byron Murphy maybe could become a number one corner. My thing with him is his height. right? I don't want our cornerback group to look that short. My thing is with Marcus Peters, if you bring him in, he'd essentially take over the spot that Rock Sin left as the number 2 corner. James Bradbury could be a number 1, but he hasn't truly proven to be a number 1 corner. Rock Sin, we know he looked great as a number 2 corner in the beginning of the season. Then with injuries, he didn't look good at the end. Greedy Williams is like your 3rd or 4th corner. Byron Murphy is really like the only tweener, right? He can be that number 1, he can be that number 2, but because of his injuries, we didn't see him too much this year. So it's kind of tough. Um, you have, yeah, like I said, you have Sean, you got Sean Bunting, you got Jamel Dean, you got Byron Murphy. So it's tough, man. It's tough. It is really tough, man. Marcus is no number 1. I agree. I agree. Marcus Peters at this point is not a number 1, but he's still a damn good number 2. I think that Marcus Peters, out of every player in the NFL right now that's playing, Marcus Peters has the most interceptions. So he's a ball hawk. He will get that. He will get those interceptions. Something that's very underrated. I believe in the last 2 seasons, Marcus Peters has about freaking 8 forced fumbles as a DB. So that's very interesting. And as I say that, he does get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for the Ravens, which is pretty funny. But I like Marcus Peters a lot as a number 2. I'm not too sure how I feel about having him come in and just trying to be that number 1. So I like him. I like the idea of Marcus Peters. I truly do. But realistically, there's not too many good number 1 option corners in free agency this season or this offseason, right? That's already proven. There's guys with the potential, but there isn't proven commodities out there right now. So we'll see what happens with that. And then moving on, I do want to talk about a little bit about the safeties, right? The safeties in this class, we still need one. Jamel Dean is no joke. Jamel Dean is good. I just don't know. I don't know how to really. I don't know how to really look at that. It's kind of tough though. Jamel Dean is good, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Honestly, I like him, but he might get in trouble in LV. Any cap casualty possibilities for cornerback? Well, shout out to my guy King 510 right now. He kind of mentioned one, right? He says we need Ramsey. Ramsey may be hinting at a possible, out from the Rams. My thing is that with Ramsey, the Rams are never just gonna let him go. The Rams are never just gonna cut him. They're gonna try and get capital back from him. So that's the problem with the Rams, is that they're gonna try and get capital back from him. It's gonna be too much. We have too many holes for us to try and trade for Ramsey and fill a need. So my thing with Ramsey is that, yeah, in a perfect world, you can have Jalen Ramsey on your roster. He's gonna cost too much to trade for. On top of that, I think he has a $17 million cap hit this year, which could be reworked once you sign him to a new deal, once you trade for him. But that one's not as likely. But in a dream scenario, the Raiders would trade for Devontae and then Jalen Ramsey the next offseason. That'd be pretty fucking dope. That would be pretty dope. But we'll see what happens with the whole Ramsey situation. That one's not really likely, though. It's not really likely, in my opinion. Peter's about to get thrown out this game. He's going to end up getting released. So Raiders might just be able to pick him up as a free agent. He is going to be a free agent this offseason. He's going to be a free agent. It's Jalen Ramsey that we would have to trade for. Dominique says, I'll take Greedy. Greedy Williams is a high upside guy that maybe in a new scheme can really, flourish. The problem is that over there, they've had in Cleveland, they've had guys really step up, and unfortunately, all those guys that stepped up were all able to do it before Greedy. So Greedy is somebody with high upside, crazy good speed. Great NFL, pro, like how do I say it? Frame, height, weight, all that kind of stuff makes a lot of sense for the defensive cornerback position. So we'll see what happens. High upside, but I don't really know how that one's gonna play out too much. It could be a one of those high risk,
jump out, baby.
high risk, high reward kind of situation. Shout out to my guy Daniel in the building. He's just out with the fan, but I'll watch it on the run back. Shout out to my guy. He says, pedal to the floor this offseason to build our defense in the trenches as great as possible. Absolutely, Daniel. We're thinking hand in hand on this. I think that regardless of who your quarterback is, we've seen bad quarterbacks get absolutely carried year after year after year. I'm not saying that Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback, but we know what that San Francisco Niners defense is doing for him over there. We know what they've done for Garoppolo. We know what they've done. We know what great defenses are able to do. They're able to carry teams. So I really, really think that we need to invest 90% of this year's offseason cap space on defense, man. And I think that we need to invest 80% of the draft on defense. We absolutely need to get many major pieces on the defensive side of the ball. If I'm gonna be honest with you, we need that dominant defensive line. We truly just need a dominant front seven. Shout out to my guy GC who says, imagine Peters and Adams going heads up at practice. That would be so fucking entertaining. It's ridiculous. I think that would be good for both of them. I think that would be amazing for both of them. What do you think about Emmanuel Mosley, $16 million market value? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with all these market values. I think Spot Track does a pretty decent job on trying to grade where people are going to get paid in free agency. But sometimes guys get really lowballed and sometimes guys get paid heavily, right? We see the Christian Kirks happen and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. Prior to purposes, why not see how Divine Diablo looks back at safety during training camp? I think that would be an injustice to Divine Diablo if for his first 2 years of his career, we spent time on him, telling him to be in the weight room, adding weight to learn a new position, and then we kind of just, tell him it didn't work, so we're going to go back to what you were coming out of college with, which may be something that we should have done already. But I'm not sure. If it happens, I wouldn't be too mad at that decision. I think we do have that need at safety. My thing is that I don't know if Divine Diablo has that sideline to sideline speed that we're looking for at safety. And honestly, I think that that's why we went out and just ended up grabbing him as a linebacker instead, right? When we had, what was his name? Chris Richards, not Chris Richards. Whoever our linebacker coach was 2 seasons ago, he was very, very adamant on having him as an outside linebacker. So we'll see. John says, agree 1,000%. Defense. Absolutely. Shout out to GC for bringing me to my next topic, man. The defensive tackles, man. Defensive tackles is an absolute need. And I'm going to be honest with you. I have mentioned before that I'd rather go out and get a star-studded linebacker. But I think that there's no reason why, if Daron Payne hits that open market, there's no reason for us to not go out and cash him out. We have the money for it. It makes all the sense in the world to go out and make Daron Payne one of the highest paid defensive linemen in the league. I really, really like guys like Dalvin Thompson and Javon Hargrave. Those guys are going to give you a solid core, but you may want to go out and get one Daron Payne for the price of 2 guys. So we'll see what happens, man. But I really think that the Raiders need to truly attack this free agency class, obviously, with a level head. Don't want to go out there and spend so much money. But we'll see what happens. Ultimately, I think that the Raiders need to go out there and truly try and invest on a guy like Daron Payne, throw the bag at him. Levante David, as you guys heard me say, is one of my favorite linebackers in this free agency period. Jermaine Pratt, Drew Tranquil. I think that those are 2 extremely underrated guys that I would love the Raiders to target. And in terms of corners, man, Marcus Peters, Rock Ya-Sin, they kind of just make the most sense to bring Rock Ya-Sin back and have him be your number 2. Put Nate Hobbs back in the slot where we know he can absolutely thrive at, and look for maybe a star-studded corner in the draft. But as we stand right now, we have a lot of holes to fill. Even safety. Safety is not something that I thought I'd be talking about, but unfortunately, Daron Harmon only signed a 1-year deal, and unfortunately as well, Trayvon Merrick hasn't looked the best. So I would love to see Trayvon Merrick again this season. Obviously, don't release him or anything like that. I'd love to see what he's able to do in his third season as a Raider. But we could be in the market for a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. We could be in the market for a Jabril Peppers or a Von Bell. I really, 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 really like Deshaun Elliott. I like Jordan Poyer a lot. I just don't know if the Bills are going to let Jordan Poyer go. Jesse Bates, obviously, the star-studded safety in this free agency period. We know Jesse Bates, probably the most consistent safety in the NFL. Man, like that guy's always going to ball. There's really nothing he can't do, but Jesse Bates, I think that he'll help you somewhat eliminate Travis Kelce a little bit. I think that the best guy on that list, if you want to find someone to somewhat try and eliminate Jesse Bates, would or Travis Kelce would probably be Jordan Poyer. Honestly, if I'm gonna be realistic with myself here, I think that Jordan Poyer is somebody that's really, really good, and I agree. I think that we do need to keep Duron Harmon, man. Put Hobbs back in the slot. Need major infusion at all three levels of the defense. Absolutely. I feel like at times, I really missed having Nate Hobbs in the slot this year because of how dominant Nate Hobbs is as an alley run stopper. I think that people forget how good of a tackler Nate Hobbs is, and in the alley, he can absolutely make these offensive linemen that are coming on pulls really miss. He could take on a lineman. He's a strong guy. I really, really like Duron Harmon, or not Duron Harmon, Nate Hobbs in the slot, man. I think it makes so much sense. So we'll see what happens, man. Is Payne a realistic option, or is this going to end up being like last offseason with our hopes up? Well, here's the thing with Daron Payne, right? There was rumors for the last 2 years that they wanted to keep Jonathan Allen over Daron Payne, and that Jonathan Allen and him were butting heads a lot, and that they started looking for trade options last year. They thought that they were going to trade him this offseason, but apparently a deal fell through with another team. So I think they are ready to move on from Daron Payne and let him go out there in free agency and test the market. We're just really going to have to offer him a good amount of money. We do have the no state tax on our side, but the problem that we do have is that we weren't a playoff team, and depending on who we have at quarterback, that could really, really upgrade or downgrade the attractiveness of coming to the Las Vegas Raiders in this offseason. We could have traded Waller for him. When the emotions were high, maybe I would have agreed with you, but I'm gonna be honest. Something that really surprised me is that once DC got benched, it really looked like Darren Waller was back to himself. It looked like Darren Waller was back to making explosive plays. He was back to getting touchdowns. He looked really confident. He looked like he was a new player. It felt like Darren Waller was back. Like the guy that we knew that went to the Pro Bowl, it felt like he was back. So with Darren Waller, maybe yeah, I would have agreed with you when the emotions were running high. But right now, I think that we might as well keep him. Can we get a new goddamn offensive coordinator? I think you're talking about Josh McDaniels, but our offensive coordinator right now is Mick Lombardi. So, Steven, if you're trying to say replace Mick Lombardi, with who? With who, man? We could have he says Reddit Nation for live shots. My guy James. Justin says, "What's up, homie? How you doing? Good, bro. I'm chilling. Just wanted to come on here for like half an hour and talk with you guys, man. So I'll be on here for like another 5 minutes. Then I promise I'll let you guys go and watch the playoffs, man. But I really wanted to talk about this because I really think that the Raiders need to go out and really spend. You like look, good work does not come cheap, man. It does not come cheap. You get what you pay for at the end of the day. And if we think that we're going to make the playoffs only spending on Duron Harmon, if we think we're going to make the playoffs only spending on a minimal trade in Rock Ya-Sin, you're not going to get the return on investment that you're expecting because you didn't invest. So at the end of the day, I do think that the Raiders need to absolutely hit the ground running in free agency, looking for a Javon Hargrave, a Matt Ioannidis, a Deron Payne, maybe even looking for a Draymond Jones, excuse me, somebody that could really rush the passer from the 3 tech, trying to give Levante David, Deion Jones, or Tremaine Edmonds a call and see what they're looking like. Maybe call up Byron Murphy or Marcus Peters to see what it's like. But I think the Raiders need to finally go out and get proven guys. And on top of that, absolutely invest so much on the defense, even in the draft. I think that the draft is very, very important, and I think that we need to invest heavily in the draft as well. I would love if our picks was what 8 defense, 2 offense. I would love that. I would love to see that, man. Um, I seen an article about the Raiders trading for Jalen Ramsey. What do you think? It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna really, really be tough to try and trade for him. He does have that $17 million cap hit that the Rams would love to get out of. But the problem is that what are you gonna trade for him? What are you gonna trade for him? Like what are you gonna trade for him? A first round pick? For a 28-year-old, 27-year-old, I know he's one of the best, if not the best in the game, but are we trading a first-round pick for Jalen Ramsey and not having the first rounder again? On top of that, you're immediately going to have to give Jalen Ramsey a new contract because he's going to want a new contract if he goes to a new team. So we'll see. Why didn't we trade for Roquan Smith? Would have solidified the spot on the linebacker. Absolutely. Roquan Smith is absolutely tearing it up for the Baltimore Ravens. I think they sent a second or a third round pick for him, or maybe both. But I just think that our front office didn't view this team as a winning organization once the trade deadline came, and therefore they didn't want to part ways with any picks. So we'll see. Who's a stud linebacker that would fit Graham's system? Levante David. He's been in the 3-4 these last couple of years. Tremaine Edmonds is a star-studded linebacker. But the thing is with him is that he's been in that Tampa 2-4-3 defense where they play that 2 high safety, where they keep a 2 shell, and they really just play everything in front, which is fine. I think Tremaine Edmonds would do great in a 3-4 anyways. But if we're talking about somebody that absolutely fits Patrick Graham, I think it's Levante David. Sign Dexter Lawrence or Cam Hayward, DT, and trade for Ramsey. The problem is that you would have to trade for every single one of those guys because not one of those guys are free agents. Not one of those guys are free agents, so that's the problem. Andy, would you trade up for Jalen Carter if you don't get Payne? No, I think we have holes to fill on defense that we can't give up major capital. Luke Kuechly wants to play for Las Vegas. I know he's been in retirement. He probably has a lot to offer, though. Anyone with experience to help our head coach be effective in his job? I feel like a lot of us feel like that sometimes, man. We'll see. Think we should get Marcus Peters? I would love Marcus Peters on this team, man. One of my favorite players ever, but I just don't know. Edgar says, Sub was good. Where's the Al Davis momentum? What do I think of Fred Warner? I think that Fred Warner is a phenomenal player. I think he played a little dirty when we played the Niners, but that's here nor there. But I think that Fred Warner's either number one. To me, the best linebacker in the league is Darius Leonard. But I think Fred Warner's right there with him. Is it just me, or does Raider Nation watch players like Jones and wish our team played like? Absolutely. Would you be mad if we drafted the first 3 picks? Hell no. I wouldn't be mad if the Raiders drafted defense for the first 7 picks. I wouldn't care at all. I think we have a total of 9 or 10 picks this draft. I would absolutely love that. I got a weird feeling we're taking Joey Porter from Penn State at 7. I wouldn't be too mad at that. If I'm to be honest with you. I think Joey Porter Jr. he's good. At 7, I'd rather just trade back. I think that he'll still be there if you trade back a few spots. So we'll see, man. But we'll see. But like I said, I really only wanted to take about half an hour of your guys' time, man. Get you guys on back to your families on Sunday. I really just felt like the Raiders need to go out and really invest heavy money on cap on the defense, man. So I'm only going to take about half an hour of your day. Please, please, please don't be too mad. I want you guys to get back to your families, get back to watching football. But let me know what you guys think. Who's somebody that you would absolutely go out and spend big on for the Las Vegas Raiders on defense, man? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions in the comment section down below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out if you enjoyed it. And as always, y'all, I love y'all. Stay safe. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'm out, you guys. Peace.
Welcome to the Death Star, where our opponent's dreams come to die.